Hi again, Matt Hamilton, author of Through Travel and Air, Confessions of an Asylum-Seeking Canadian. Welcome back to my online readings. Today is Chapter 2, which is called Thank You, Andy Rooney. So Chapter 1, the first hurdle, basically dealt with me figuring out that there were going to be a lot of culture shocks along the way. The first one was the language barrier. Not even a language barrier, the accent barrier. Basically, though, I got out of the airport and got myself onto a bus, and as I was sitting on that bus, I was contemplating what was it that actually made me leave the safety and comfort of home. And basically, I essentially came up with I couldn't hit a curveball. Right now, I wanted to be a professional baseball player, and when I was about 19 years old, I got a chance to play in this pretty elite league. And after that 1 year, I realized I wasn't that good, so I decided to use my brain and headed off to university. However, I wasn't quite impressed with what unfolded over the next 4 years. So we'll pick it up with a little bit of my reason for being unhappy. Chapter 2. Thank you, Andy Rooney. Lectures sucked. They were a waste of my time. The dispassionate and uninterested professors were regurgitating the same material I had reviewed and read the previous night. I can read. I can understand English. History is basically a story with a setting, plot, characters, beginning, middle, and end. Unless one of the professors had access to a time machine, then they couldn't offer any further insight beyond what had already been written. What they knew, they got from books others wrote. Books I was reading. Studying history at university turned out to be an expensive library card. I also came to the dispiriting conclusion that university professors didn't give a rat's ass about their students. These people weren't teachers like I found in other educational institutions. They were researchers and authors. They weren't there to teach. They were there to lecture. And I could tell by their lack of enthusiasm during lectures that they didn't even want to do that. The 3 hours a week spent addressing undergrads was 3 hours not spent working on their more important projects. They didn't do any of the grading either. That important task was left to an unqualified teaching assistant. It was apparent that if you were an undergrad at Queen's University, then you weren't worth two shits in the eyes of the faculty. By my second semester, I was pissed off. I began to develop a fuck them attitude. This was around the time I discovered marijuana. Now I'm going to open up. I do like my smoke, and I found that smoking in university with the group that I had, we really started discussing things, opening our minds, and sometimes the conversations were deep and sometimes they were asinine, but that was basically what I was hoping to find at university. And not to mention marijuana certainly had a calming effect with my professors. Nonetheless, I got through those 4 years, but I'm not really happy with my time there. Great social life, great friends, but fell right into the rat race. Got a job with a suit and tie working for an insurance company, and things hadn't improved too much from the university days. So yeah, I was upset, and nothing was really helping me get back on track. And if anything, the one item that really pushed my buttons was when I would come home at the end of the day and turn on a 6 o'clock news. So we can pick up a little bit more of my discontentment now. Every single day, the news was filled with negativity, hatred, and violence. The message I took from these horrifying images was, hey buddy, don't worry about your little issues and discontentment. Your life in Canada is much better than these poor bastards. Most of us would agree. We'd say it was a tragedy, then get back to our lives. We'd feel better about ourselves, thankful our city hadn't been bombed or swallowed by an earthquake, and not give the actual disaster and its actual victims a second thought. I regarded the media as an attempt to subdue and blind us from our own unhappiness. They were there to keep us afraid, productive, and consuming. We were being brainwashed into complacency. We were exploring Mars and cloning sheep. And the most interesting and anticipated story was where the President of the United States stuck a cigar and what was going to be done about it. Kosovo was a massacre, the Russian market collapsed, and everybody was in a panic over the millennium bug. This high-tech dilemma was going to cost an estimated $600 billion to fix. The world was going insane right in front of me, and there was nothing I can do about it. My fire of discontentment and frustration was burning out of control. And it really was. I mean, I was angry all the time. My friends could see it, my family could see it, and, I knew. I could see it. I knew that I needed a drastic change, and I just was trying to build up the courage. And then one day, while I was flicking through the TV, I came across 60 Minutes, and there was something that was said that really struck a chord. Thankfully, the final push I needed to jump the Canadian ship and go explore came from the crustiest, grumpiest old dinosaur of a journalist living today, Andy ROONEY. Andy ROONEY has been a journalist since before there was paper. He is particularly well known for his surly social comments at the conclusion of the respected investigative news program 60 Minutes. This particular observation, which I happened to catch one Sunday evening, really opened my eyes and made me reevaluate my priorities in life. This is what he said. The most unfair thing about life is the way it ends. I mean, life is tough. It takes up a lot of your time. And what do you get at the end of it? A death. What is that, a bonus? I think the life cycle is backwards. You should die first, get it out of the way. Then you live in an old age home. You get kicked out when you're too young, and you get a gold watch and you go to work. You work for 40 years until you're young enough to enjoy your retirement. You do drugs, alcohol, you party, and you get ready for high school. You go to grade school. You become a kid. You play. You have no responsibilities. You become a little baby. You go back in the womb and you spend your last 9 months floating peacefully sound asleep. And you finish off as an orgasm. Damn, that made a lot of sense. And you know what? That was it. I quit my job. I said goodbye to everybody. I got rid of all my possessions that I really didn't need. And I bought that one-way ticket to Glasgow, and off I went. And you know what? The bus actually did take me to the city centre in Glasgow, and I got off the bus, and staring me straight in the face was a big sign that said information. And I was able to find a hostel. So that is basically the end of chapter 2. I hope you had a good time listening to me ramble on. Chapter 3 is called Runner. It exposes some of my weaker sides, I guess. If you like what you heard and you want to pick up some more, the book is called Through Travel and Error. Please visit my website, madmattiesworld.com. Or Google my name and the title of the book, and you'll have multiple links to websites where you can grab a copy. Thanks for your time. I'll see you next week, and take care. Safe travels. Bye.